Whether you are a man or a woman, the deep fat that builds up in your belly greatly increases your risk of insulin resistance. In fact, when scientists surgically removed 18% of the belly fat in obese mice, their insulin sensitivity improved and their onset of diabetes was delayed. This is not a video on how to surgically remove belly fat, and we are not mice, but I do have a daily strategy that you can use to fight back against belly fat and insulin resistance. Best of all, you can start doing this today using this, and this. I explain in today's video. The fat on your body is either subcutaneous or visceral. Subcutaneous fat is the fat you can pinch under your skin. Visceral fat gets deposited deep in the abdomen, pushing the belly forward, hence the name belly fat. Subcutaneous fat is mostly a benign storage closet. You don't want to have a lot of pinchable fat, but having some does not necessarily harm your health. Belly fat, on the other hand, is metabolically active. That means it increases the release of inflammatory substances and free fatty acids, leading to insulin resistance and other health problems. When that resistance is present, insulin cannot efficiently move sugar out of your blood and into your cells. This makes weight loss difficult because the resulting high blood sugar and insulin levels block fat loss and make you feel tired and hungry. If not addressed, a vicious cycle is created where the insulin resistance encourages more belly fat and the extra belly fat worsens the insulin resistance. So we need a way to break this cycle, and we will do that using early time-restricted eating, apple cider vinegar, and 1 ounce of cheese. The two tools that encourage fat loss and improve insulin sensitivity are early time-restricted eating, that we will represent with the clock, and apple cider vinegar. Early time-restricted eating is the practice of consuming your last meal of the day by mid-afternoon. In other words, you finish eating early, then restrict food intake until bedtime. This improves insulin sensitivity because it lessens insulin's workload. Basically, when there is no food, there is no spike in insulin production. Apple cider vinegar has been shown to help control blood sugar, improve insulin sensitivity, and reduce belly fat. And I have a video sharing the research supporting those findings, which I will point you to. But here we have two tools that help you fight back against insulin resistance and belly fat. However, both have rather glaring challenges. For one thing, when you stop eating by 4 in the afternoon, you are left with a long stretch of fasting before bed, which can be uncomfortable. As for the apple cider vinegar, the challenge is that it tastes bad. This is where the cheese becomes a valuable tool in this strategy. Knowing that you can have an ounce of cheese at the end of the day helps you mentally be okay with fasting in the evening. The cheese also makes the apple cider vinegar more appealing. In fact, a study that used this combination is how this strategy came about. Back in 2007, I came across a small study showing that consuming 30 milliliters or 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar before bed helped control morning blood sugar levels in diabetic patients. What intrigued me is that the participants got those results even though they were consuming an ounce of cheese with the vinegar. The cheese was used to make the vinegar more palatable, yet you would think that the cheese would negate the benefits either because of the calories or because you were eating right before bed. That was not the case. In fact, there was a control group that had no apple cider vinegar. Instead, they simply ate cheese and drank water, yet that control group, like the apple cider vinegar group, showed a reduction in fasting glucose, albeit a smaller one. So it's intriguing. Is there something about cheese that has a positive effect on fasting glucose? The research team was left with nothing more than speculation, but to me, that serving of cheese makes this fasting and vinegar strategy doable. Let's put this all together so you have a practical strategy that you can use tonight if you would like. The ultimate goal is to finish eating for the day by 4 p.m. and have 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar with 1 ounce of cheese within an hour of bed. That is the target. However, you can work up to that level. When you are insulin resistant, hunger is hard to control. So to build your comfort level, stop eating 3 hours before bed. Then over time, you can move dinner earlier until you reach that 4 p.m. target. Before bed, start with 1 tablespoon of diluted apple cider vinegar, followed by the cheese. You will work up to 2 tablespoons, but apple cider vinegar is an acquired taste. Years ago, my husband and I did a video on different ways to dilute vinegar, which you do want to do with at least water. I'll share a list of the most common things viewers like to stir in. Personally, I've found that mixing in water, a splash of lemon juice, and a pinch of sea salt helps. If you cannot stomach this drink at bedtime, you can have it before dinner, which is beneficial for blood sugar control. There are also apple cider vinegar supplements containing acetic acid, which is the active ingredient. All I can say about them is that the studies are not out there showing their effectiveness, and there is no standardization in the supplement world, so you are best off going with the liquid form. However, if that is just too much of an obstacle, choose a supplement company with a good reputation. I'm not endorsing any brand, but I will leave a link to Paleo Valley in the description because I trust their products. I want to leave you with a few notes. First, the takeaway of this video is not that eating cheese at bedtime makes you lose weight. The study involving cheese noticed that eating an ounce of cheese at bedtime allowed participants to wake with a lower blood glucose reading, helping them reach the goal of becoming more insulin sensitive. Second, is cheese the only thing that will work? I don't know the answer to that question. Since it was what was used in a favorable study, it is what I'm recommending. If you stay away from dairy, I suggest choosing a food like chicken or turkey. Those foods are similar to cheese in that they are mainly protein with only trace amounts of carbs. Resist the urge to eat a big sugary dessert after dinner. That refined treat is a false prophet. It seems like the extra food should help you make it until bedtime. However, because it leads to a blood sugar crash, it actually makes you more hungry in the evening. Lastly, the strategy I shared is fairly simple, but it is a change, and change requires motivation. I have a fasting timeline that you can download that shares how your metabolism is running and your body is healing as your fasting hours increase. I think you'll find that it helps you mentally stay on track through the evening hours. I'll put a link to the fasting timeline in the description area below this video, or you can click on the icon here on the video. Thank you for watching. I hope this video helped you. If so, please subscribe and share the video with your online communities. Have a great rest of your day.